Hello, parents of 6L and 6B. We're doing our week 8 update a little bit early today. It's
Because I'm running away after school.
Pretty hectic at the end after electives. So, great week this week. In math, we looked at square numbers and a bit of triangular numbers earlier on in the week. We had a bunch of fun activities on that. The students worked in little groups to discuss the properties of square numbers. Again, looking at factors and multiples. It was just a really, really good week of consolidating some knowledge. So that was math. In French, we kept on working on La Vie de, a little bit of correction while I wasn't here on Tuesday. I was out on a PD, but on Thursday, yesterday, we did something entirely different. We actually did
yeah, that's right. Come in.
Yeah, we did a session where students actually practiced, how can I put this, asking questions in the correct sentence structure in order to gain information. So, for instance, we had a grid, and there was a ton of notables. We had Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Marie Curie. We had a bunch, and we had their date of birth, where they were born, what they did as a profession, what they're known for when they passed away, and some of that information was missing. And so the kids had to ask questions by following a model in order to get that information. For example, like who was born in Atlanta, Georgia? And then I was going to go, Martin Luther King was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but it was the way they asked it. So, qui est né à Atlanta en Amérique du Nord? And there was all these model questions. It was really, really good. And by the end, they were getting really, really, really good sentence structure when they were asking questions.
And for the kids who are doing French next year, as not kind of going back to kind of year seven French in that from the beginner classes that are offered at a lot of high schools in French, the ones that are continuing on with French at the level that these kids are currently at, will find that so helpful for them next
absolutely.
year. Because all the feedback that we get from year 7 and 8 students and, ex-CPS students who are doing French or French immersion programs, they often say that, they would have loved to have had more kind of teaching around how to phrase questions.
Well, because right now
and how to use more sophisticated sentence structures.
What a lot of the students are doing now is that they're asking questions and they're just translating directly from English.
Yeah,
and so when you go, can I go to the bathroom? It's est-ce que moi peux aller à la salle de toilette? And it's not how we say it.
Yeah.
So it was a really, really good session. So we had them practicing, how do you ask questions to get information? It was just a really, really good solid session. And so that's what we did in French. And today we're going to keep working on their C'est ta vie booklet. And so they're going to keep working on their job, where they're living, what furniture they need to buy. And we're moving on today.
They're obsessed with it.
When they finish transport today, they're moving on to groceries for a week.
Food.
And so they're finding recipes. What are they going to need to make that? How are they going to feed themselves for a week? And then next week it's bills. So we're going to be looking at natural gas, electricity, water, everything. So that should be a lot of fun as well. And that's it for French and math this week. It was a good week.
It was a really good week. I mean, I think firstly because we were here this week, we were back on deck, which was really, really nice. It's been a really good week. It's only today that I've woken up with a little bit of this kind of situation happening. Really solid week in English. We have got a lot of different project work on the go at the moment, which is fantastic. So we've still been doing. We focused a little bit of time on notables, and I ran through the brief again with the students, which I actually recorded and I put on YouTube on this particular channel. So if you would like to get a little bit more information about where the students should be up to and what should be included, by all means watch that video. And I think a few of the kids have actually really managed their time quite effectively because although there were a lot of them that went, oh, I haven't done that, or oh, I need to still do that. A lot of them were like, no, but all my research is done and it's solid. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a few who haven't, but I think they've kind of learned the lesson of, oh, okay, leaving it all to the last minute perhaps isn't the best plan. But I've been really impressed by the way that the kids have been creating lists of things to do and really understanding how to prioritize what they need to work on. So like if they're in class, the question they've been asking themselves is, well, is this something I could be doing at home? Like, what do I need to do whilst I'm at school?
Yeah.
And all of that kind of stuff. So that's been really, really good. I'm really looking forward to the notables morning. A lot of them are pushing the boundaries in terms of how they present their information, which is part of the learning intention of this project. So I'm really intrigued to see how that goes on Wednesday, the 12th of December, 8 until 9 o'clock for all of you. We've also been working on our economics stall. We've got a few entrepreneurs in our midst.
I love the advertising.
Yes, so it's been going really well. We're actually going to get the grade 5s to come into our market day as well, to spend some money and boost the grade 6 economy. The kids are really enjoying it. I think a few of them are kind of missing the point a little bit about what the purpose of the activity is, and in that we're trying to create a business that will successfully sell product and ultimately make they'll have the biggest profit margin. And I think are hoping that by making their brand so niche and so targeted, and really only targeting like 15 or 20 people, like there's a group of girls who are making things that like it's kind of only, I mean, not to make gender stereotypes, but typically girls will go after their particular product. I kind of said to them that they're almost pigeonholing them themselves a little bit. So, I mean, if they do get bought out, then amazing. But ultimately, they've shut themselves off to a range of.
It can go either way, right?
Yeah, it can. Yeah. So, like, we're kind of exploring we're having those kind of conversations in class. Something new that we did start this week, which we'll be going for the next couple of weeks, is where we will be having formal debates, which the kids have eaten up with a spoon. These students are incredibly good at arguing.
I was going to say at debating. They already do it every day, every lesson.
So I thought to myself, given that I'm in term 4, or we're in term 4, and there is a little bit more of an argumentative streak coming into most students, how can I utilize that for the greater good? And it just dawned on me that these kids haven't had much exposure to debating, and what an amazing thing for us to do at the end of the year. So I picked teams and put in teams of 3, and I put them in teams, not a single word. Everybody just grabbed their team and off they went.
Good.
Oh, yes, 6B and 6L. And then there were 4 topics, and randomly picked out of a hat, they picked out which topic they were going to do and whether they were the affirmative or the negative, which has challenged a few to really help make them think about, well, okay, although personally I don't believe in this particular argument, how am I going to ruthlessly argue it so I can convince an audience?
Which is great. Yeah.
And not only that, the area that I've been really working on with them is, well, for now, is this whole idea of the rebuttal. So identifying and planning for the other team to come up with an argument, and how are you going to debunk it? How are you going to prove that it's actually not a worthy argument? And that's been quite interesting. That's been really good. A lot of students are kind of twisting facts or looking at the inverse side of percentages or statistics or whatever to help support their cause, which has been, honestly, I'm so stunned at how well they've been going with this. The topics are quite topical as well. One of them is, does technology make us more alone? Do violent video games make for violent people? Should students be able to grade their teachers?
Energy drinks.
Yeah, and the final one was energy drink. The purchasing of energy drinks should require an ID. So all fairly topical, and kind of it also, links in a lot with our ethics curriculum and the discussions that we had around that in term 3. So kind of a little bit of full circle. So they're going to be still prepping their debates next week, and we'll be presenting towards the end of next week and the start of week 10. I've been blown away at the success of that. So that was English this week. Few things to note.
Yep, I was going to say we had our first round of electives yesterday for the new group, and so I started hockey with the new kids yesterday, and it went so well.
Netball was awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited for today's electives as well. It went just that well yesterday.
We had it yesterday because it rained last Friday, so we substituted those classes to Friday afternoon last week, and then But the attitude in the electives has been really good. Let's move on to our notes. I'd say one thing that we do need to note is that we are definitely now starting to deal with some grade 6s who are in term 4, and at the end of term 4, at the end of year 6, and it's not. We've just started to note that there's been a slight shift in kind of the way that we're being spoken to. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not even necessarily outwardly disrespectful. What it is that we're starting to be called mate, or like, hey man, and it's just those kind of little things.
Starting to get crossed.
The line's starting to blur a little bit, and I would say that this is a range of people around both of our classes that are doing it. So we're just trying to reel it in a little bit. But all in all, we're doing okay.
Yeah, it's been a good week.
If you've got any tips, do let us know. Because it's the first time that you and I have both experienced term 4 of grade 6, aside from when we were here ourselves.
Just a while ago.
And we may have
Things were very different.
We may have been exhibiting the same behaviours.
Oh, it's possible, yeah.
So that's the first thing. So yeah, notables, I mentioned it just before. If you guys have got any questions about where people should be up to with their notables, their booth should be up and running. The biography should be done. We should really ultimately be having like nearly completed projects. So if we're not quite there, then perhaps there needs to be a little bit of a kick.
Portfolios.
Oh, portfolios. Yeah, I started with port and then I just wrote apples. We need portfolios to be brought back. I think I've only got maybe like 7 from the bees.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for portfolios, because as the school's transitioning towards non-paper portfolios, it is going to look a little bit different. But for the better, actually, I really think. I think you're going to see a lot more of the students' work and get a better understanding of kind of the growth and things like that, which is going to be awesome. Some more news to come, but in short, there will be some hard copy stuff that we require the actual portfolio for, and then a lot of stuff is going to be electronic and on Google Classroom and sites and stuff. So stay tuned for that. But if we could get the portfolios back, that's really huge. And that's it. I don't need to mention that. I've already mentioned it.
Perfect.
Okay. Killer week. It was really nice to be
awesome.
back in the classroom.
Yeah.
Like really nice. And after this week, we have 15 days left.
That's it.
Oh my giddy aunt. Okay. We'll see you next week. As always, if you've got any questions or queries, please don't hesitate to email or call us. Anything else?
And that's it.
We
get in the bag.
Done.
Have a good weekend.